Yeah.
And
I want to
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to touch on something that you haven't done before, and that was releasing the MVP.
Yeah.
I want to hear about that process because, I mean, to your credit, you guys did it. And to so many other founders out there, they're so afraid to put that MVP out that they don't even get that far.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
what was it like leading up to it? What was it to the point where we're like, here we go, we're pressing the button, so to speak, and this thing's live? Yeah, I would love to hear.
I remember the
journey.
day because I think I sent an email out the day that it changed. So
But
I'll let Stan give the start there.
Yeah, I would say the build up to it. One of the things we're doing, we're in an industry there's no blueprint quite yet. It's not like people going out and starting a coffee shop. You could probably Google how to do that. So a lot of the times it was, all right, we're going to run with this idea. We're going to run with this idea. This is it. Then you're like, oh, this isn't it. You got to change it. So a lot of, a good chunk of our time was really just figuring out how do you actually do it.
Yeah.
Even before, thinking about the MVP before this, so it's that whole process was a lot of figuring out trial and error. This isn't going to work. All right, what's the solution for this particular issue we're running in?
Yeah.
That led to a slight pivot. For us, one of the big questions that we would always get is like acquisitions. And we were, how are you going to get properties, this, that, and the third? We came up with an answer. We were like, this monetarily is not going to work. So we had to make that pivot. So, that pushes back, the launch of the MVP because you're like, all right, I got to go through and redo everything.
Yeah.
But, once we kind of nailed it down, it was straight to the MVP. Aside from a couple of hiccups along the way, as far as on the technology end, it went smoothly. We had everything in place, everything that needed to be in place, especially from the compliance end, which is the most important. That's the biggest killer for fintechs, for securities companies. If you can't get the compliance stuff straight, then you might as well not even work on the MVP. So once we got that straight, it was, I don't want to say smooth sailing, but a lot of the barriers have been moved out the way.
Yeah. And I would even say, Zach, to your point earlier, it's to get, and Tim, to answer your question, for us to get to that point, it was that mindset of like, exactly that. I tell the team all the time is an analogy I love to give, and it's a quick, short one, but I think it exactly puts out what you were saying, Zach, is I always say, stay in the deep end. And what I mean by that is, if you think of an analogy of a pool, if you're in the shallow end, you got a safety net. You can stand on the bottom, you can grab the side, but if you stay in the deep end in the middle, you got to tread water. You got to learn how to float. You got to learn how to stay up and, constantly keeping yourself uncomfortable, And so when we looked at, okay, what is Pocket Properties? What's our timetable? That was one of the things I challenged the team with is we have to put a hard date on this, because if you don't, then it just keeps getting pushed out. And that's something I'm found in my, short professional career has been extremely valuable to me, is the working backwards approach. So set a goal, whether that be 3 months down the line, and then work backwards every single week until you get to today. And now today and tomorrow are the most important day in that journey. Because if most people start from today, and then if something comes up, most people go, oh, well, you know what? That won't be a big deal. We have 3 months till we're launching MVP. But 3 months, if they don't realize, if I don't do today and tomorrow, that becomes 4. That becomes 5 months. Next thing you know, there is no launch. There is no MVP. So that was a big focus for us, is let's work backwards. Let's set this date. Not that, it's the end of the world if we don't hit it. But what that did is put pressure on the whole team that we're not just talking concept anymore. This needs to become a real thing. We need to hit milestone goals, and we need to get a product out. It doesn't need to be the best product in the world. That was another thing, helping the team understand minimal viable product. We're a startup. We don't need to come out with what Robinhood looks like now, or what Meta looks like now. All of these things. And I always use the example of Snapchat. I remember when Snapchat came out, and my friend told me, hey, check out this thing. I think it's going to be huge. And I was like, this is not a great app. It's very grainy picture quality. Like, all I can do is send a picture back and forth. I don't know. You look at it now, and that business is scaled completely. Well, I guarantee if you talk to their founders, what they would say is that was MVP. That was proof of concept. That was minimal viable product.
Well, Instagram was only on the iPhone to start, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like little things like that. Yeah. It's
exactly. And now you look at now, and that company is exploded, right? So that's kind of some of the things that helped us get the MVP out, some of our focus.
And the great thing is, not every single user went away. You still have people. You have people in the waiting list, and that now that first rep being the most important. Maybe it went off the rim and it went in. Maybe it went off the rim and you didn't get the right roll and you missed a shot. But now 2.0, 3.0, I mean, it's just going to get easier and better and continue to improve the entire time.
Yeah.
When I was at the gym the other day, I went to the basketball court and I shot 10 shots. I missed all 10.
But you took 10 shots.
They're all layups too, by the way.
So now you do that for 10 weeks, and come back to us, and we'll see how many you make.
Maybe I'll make one.
Sorry, make you feel better. I hurt my back last week playing basketball, so we're in the same boat. Both not a lot of wins.
So blockchain is in the description. I think I heard 3 other letters that I really have tried to understand but can't understand. An NFT, like. Is there an NFT in this? Like, can you walk through that whole thing that I don't understand?
That was a last minute addition Stan can definitely talk about because it was really unique and really.
You don't understand it either? Is that why, Josh?
Me? No, I understand it, but at the surface level. That's why, I know my lane, and it's not quite there yet. We're getting there. But, we got a great team around us, and that's what I trust these guys for. That's why I'm going to kick it to Stan. Also, because it was really his innovation and another team member of ours kind of last minute. And then, Stan figured out a way to integrate it into, what we were already going to launch. So I don't want to take away any of the thunder. We'll just say that, Zach.
Yeah. So, blockchain is it's a great technology if you actually understand it. What it can do is it's awesome. We've all seen Ethereum, Bitcoin. Those are just the surface layer stuff that people generally understand. But from the basis, it's a vehicle for in the sense that we use it as for security. You've heard the term tokens before. If you think of tokens as shares, they're synonymous. When you purchase a stock from the stock market, you're getting a one of 100 that's specifically yours, can't be forged, can't be duplicated. But there's a lot of stuff that goes in. There's a whole back office approach that goes into, ensuring that. With blockchain, it's almost like buying a stock, but instead of having to deal with a lot of the back office hoopla, the average person can create something that there's only one of it, or, there's a batch of it. And beyond that batch of 1,000 or however many you make, there's no more. So, seeing the power and being able to do that, really it gives people the ability to create, securities, offerings for a specific entity that can no longer be forged or what's the term that I'm looking for? Duplicated without the owner's permission.
Right. Or counterfeited even.
Correct. And then also, once again, when it takes a lot of that back office process out, there's no longer the need for having a completely separate accounting system because where you can see every transaction on the ledger, and those transactions can't be forged. People can begin to custody their own securities, almost like when, back in the day when you could get the paper version of your stock. That was you custodying your own security. So it gives you a lot of power, a lot of flexibility when it comes to it. How we're integrating it is very much in a securities manner. There's a lot of integration that's left to do. It's not fully integrated on the MVP whatsoever. But really what we've done is we're offering an NFT, which stands for non-fungible token, which is, it's a reservation NFT, because currently this deal is in what's called testing the waters, which means it's not a live offering quite yet. We're waiting on some forms to get done. But what it provides those people who have said, hey, I want to invest, essentially what it is a capital call. They have a NFT, which in this case is actually a little image of the house. I wish I had one to show you, but it's a little image of the house that, people who own that particular NFT have early access to the offering since they've done a reservation. So once that offering goes live, we'll do a capital call. The people who have that NFT, we can see who they are. We can verify it, have access to purchase their shares before it goes to the general
Someone
public.
who's been directly involved within the startup community for almost a decade, I want to talk to you about a serious pain point. Spending a ton of time trying to understand the business landscape in the 757. That's time that should be focused on growing the business. At StartWheel, we're here to help you by compiling all of the news you need to know about in one place. Now there's no need to search multiple websites. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org.